Hi everyone, Arabel here with Chic Innovator. I'd like to introduce you to our next guest, Ray Rodriguez. He is a bilingual entertainment reporter known as Media Ray. Find out how Ray has created his dream career in digital media, everything from getting offered scholarships, running cross-country to achieve his goals, and completely transforming his life. He shares how trauma has not stopped him and how he has become the best version of himself. Ray has held positions at Univision, CBS, and NBC to name a few, and even has become one of the dedicated reporters to cover Sueños, one of the biggest music festivals in the country, certainly here in Chicago. So join us as we talk about manifesting your sueños, dreams, and so much more on this exciting episode of Chic Innovator. You're watching Chic Innovator. Stay tuned for fascinating topics, fascinating people that have style and are innovative. You're watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free.
My name is Ray Rodriguez. I do TV production, and I guess I can go by Media Ray. I do social media marketing currently.
That's how everybody knows you. They know you as Media Ray.
Yeah, actually, they didn't even call me Ray. They call me Media Ray. I'm like, hey, Media Ray, and I'm like, oh, really? Oh, okay.
Maybe you'll change your name or something. You know, you can legally do that.
Right? A nickname, right?
Yeah, Media Ray, Media Ray.
That's a good one, how I got that name, too, by the way.
So I'm glad you're here, and I do want you to tell us how you got the name. But, you know, I want people to know you. I think a lot of people follow you on Instagram, and one of the things that I really like about what you're doing now, I get excited about it, is you're doing crossover. Right?
Yes.
You're in the Latino market as well, speaking Spanish. They're interviewing like these incredible individuals from the Latino community, from my community as well. And you know, and you're in the general market too, which is really, really great. And I think I love that. I'll tell you why. Runway Latinx and even Latino Fashion Week, when you used to do that, always worked on the crossover. And when you go to our events, you get a lot of people that are from the Latino community, but then you get a lot of people that aren't. And I think it's great because it's two worlds that sometimes don't cross each other and that don't know about each other. We live in both, right? Mm-hmm. We're very involved, I think, in both. And I love that you're doing that. For me, that makes such a huge difference. And I don't think it's as easy to navigate as people think, you know? So tell us a little bit, Ray, on how, because I see you all over the place. I see you Latin Grammys, and then you get invited to this event and that event in different parts of the country, and you get
Sueños.
Up and go, and Sueños, which is fabulous. So Sueños, for a lot of people that don't know, has now in Chicago become bigger than Lollapalooza, just bigger. I mean, the first year, and I remember because I know the owners really well, they're friends of mine, they were talking, they did a big press conference, the mayor was there, et cetera, and they were talking about possibly getting 40,000 people there. And, you know, the city wasn't quite ready for it because it ended up being closer to 100,000 people attending it.
It's huge.
Yeah, and you've been going now.
Well, I was invited to be the reporter last year.
That's fantastic.
And it was all the drama, all the novella, everything you want behind the scenes. You know, crowds of people. Thunderstorm canceled the big event, right?
Oh, the thunderstorm.
Beso Pluma was supposed to headline.
Pluma, yeah.
And there's Media Ray behind the scenes covering the whole thing. And the only reporter from, you know, no ABC, NBC, CBS. I'm like, where are you guys? And I thought, wow, it was called Sueños for a reason, right?
Yes.
And it was my dream to be a reporter, you know, entertainment reporter in the biggest event Chicago has.
And there you were.
And there I was.
Sueños, dreaming your dream.
Hottest ticket, it was sold out,
yes.
You know, and then it was just
No, I think people don't realize, if you don't know what Sueños are, like, tell us some of the acts that were there.
Oh,
I mean, Peso Pluma, first of all, if you don't know Peso Pluma, Peso Pluma, when he goes to different parts of the world, basically shuts down shut down Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because there's so many people that follow Peso Pluma worldwide. And, I mean, Karol G has been there. I mean, we've got all these different, but...
He beat Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
That's a statement. Right now, I think, back to your multicultural, I think we're in that era that we are the number one minority. That's the biggest thing that drives me, knowing that. And we need to have representation. And the fact that Bad Bunny and Peso Pluma, which is Puerto Rican and Mexican, they're sort of symbolic in our cultures, you know,
yes.
music-wise and personality-wise, then it's like, I think the numbers are there to show that we are strong and united. And
it's worldwide. I mean,
worldwide.
the impact, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And again, that's what I love what you're doing, because you're sharing it with both markets, because people are following you from both markets, but it's a worldwide impact. Now, Bad Bunny, he was smart. Started dating one of the Kardashians. I'm not saying that helped, but it might have helped.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, he really got embedded into the English language market, right? No, but it's really great. Well, I'm very proud that you're doing that, and I think you're living the sueño, the dream.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to tell us a little bit, because you're Chicago, born and raised. Actually, you and I had a long talk about this. South side of Chicago. My parents had stores in the Little Village area, and so I know that area very well. I think I shared with you, I'm very involved in Foundation of Little Village. We're doing, we're building now an incubator there, a business incubator, and so I'm still very involved, very committed to that community, because a lot of people don't realize this either. So much business comes out of that. That area is number 2 as far as tax, wise, as far as how many taxes are paid in the city of Chicago. It's Michigan Avenue, and then it's the Little Village area, and so it's huge amount of business that's going on there. I grew up in that neighborhood because we had the stores and everything, and you were close by. We both went to Catholic schools. We talked about, you went to St. Rita.
I went to St. Rita, yeah.
Yeah, and I went to Lourdes, and we talked about the bus that we had to take.
The bus and then the uniform.
And the uniforms.
You had what, the gray and white?
Yes.
Right?
Well, it depended
right?
on the year, but I don't know. Anybody who's been to Catholic schools, maybe you'll remember this in high school, kind of raised them up when we got on the bus because the Rita boys were going to be there, and it was just funny,
it was like it was a kind of like a not competition, but it was just kind of like we knew it was happening, whether you like it or not, and you just had to be on that bus.
Yes, you had to be on that bus, and so many great stories. But how did you go from that area, and how did you, or when did you decide that you wanted to be in media?
Yeah, so this was way back, but it was just a dream. My dad was a musician, so what you're seeing is my dad. My dad and my mom, but my dad, he used to sing at quinceañeras. He was kind of like multi-talented. He played the organ, he played the guitar, and he was my first one that I learned from how to connect to people by staring them in the eye. And he always told me, if you have nothing to, if you don't lie, steal, or cheat, you have nothing to be ashamed of. And so that was really helped me, because I don't know how to sing, but I know how to connect to people. And people is what I actually love. I used to watch a lot of television. So I used to watch Oprah and Mario Lopez. Those are my 2 mentors. And
you're still close to Mario,
oh,
right?
yeah, I've met him. I met his manager. Talk about dreams come true. And I met Oprah. And Oprah, when it really was the way she says, follow your dream, be be the best you can be. I really wanted to work with her, and I met her. So a lot of Oprah and Mario was in my head when I did what I'm doing now. And social media was just a compliment to starting out. But so then I started in Southside. I went to school. I went to all boys school, college prep. I then, my dad, I don't know how he spent money on us. He worked for General Motors. Both my parents are immigrants. They came from Mexico.
Mine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but they met in Chicago at a
Mine
dance.
too. Not at a dance, but mine met in Chicago too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then that was interesting for me as a son, and then and my dad's dream was to have success in our family, and I don't know if you know, but I think I told you I have a twin identical brother.
Yeah, so I've got to tell you, when you told me that you had a twin brother, I was shocked. I was like, where, my goodness. But
The wild card.
The wild card, yeah. But from what I understand, you two are different, very different, right?
Yes.
So, yes.
So then, with that in mind, I knew I had to bring the family forward, and through education and accountability, I had to do what my parents set themselves out to be. And I was the only one that was both my brothers, they actually dropped out of school, and somehow I was innocent enough to go and keep it going. I graduated, and then I think I told you the strangest thing happened. My dad said I don't have any money for college, and I went to college prep. That's common sense.
Yeah.
And
I'm preparing to go to college.
Yeah.
Going to college,
And then I
right?
tell my dad I'm ready to go, and it's like, guess what? I don't have enough money. So a bad thing happened where I took a year off of school thinking I was going to punish my dad, but I found out later that was
punishing yourself. Yeah.
And
It was a self-imposed gap year.
Yeah, so I took a year off of kind of like, you would call it a sabbatical, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, right?
Sounds good.
Now that I look
Sabbatical,
back on it,
yeah.
But it was the best thing that could have happened. Even if you could have said tragedy, right? But no, I was like, I gotta do something. So the year was off, and then a miracle happened. Claudia, a good friend of mine back in the day, she was just starting, and she's like, I'm going to Morton Community College. Would you like to come with me? And I was like, yes. And that was like my Oprah moment. And so when I went there, I went to the admissions, and this lady looked at me straight in the eye like you're doing now, and I just told her, I go, listen, I really want to come to this college. Could you help me out? She goes, if you run cross country, we will. And guess what? I said, okay, I got to run. And
what?
That was...
And you just did it?
Well, picture this.
I cannot imagine myself like somebody tells me.
Picture this. I was like, a pudgy Mexican kid with dreams.
¿Estás gordito?
What, gordito?
Okay.
And the reason I'm in television is because I really wanted to be the one, like in a magazine. And I thought, can I get a better image of myself? So that ticket to success was that scholarship, because I had to run every weekend. I had to learn how to run. I never run in my entire life. And so that was really significant because...
Was anybody training you or what?
Yes,
good.
So I have this coach who I'm still in touch with,
okay.
And he saw greatness in me and I didn't even see it. And I ran with two higher level runners, and every weekend we had to meet. And then the biggest thing, I used to walk from 31st and Pulaski all the way to Morton Community College for 2 years.
That's a long way. It's like 2 miles, isn't it?
Because one thing is that my dad...
That's a long, long way. Like if you know that area, it's like, oh my goodness.
What is like a...
Yeah, apart from that, it goes up and then it goes down, and that's a walk.
For 2 years.
Wow.
Snow.
What time did you have to get there in the morning?
I would just go by what I knew the schedule. I just made it happen. I don't know. It was crazy,
Because you wanted it.
I really wanted it.
You wanted it.
I really wanted it. And I used Oprah's show and Mario to sort of kind of dream, because I really, really wanted it. I really...
So Mario was on... Wait, he was on the...
he was on Extra, and...
He was already on Extra?
He goes... Oh, no, he was Saved by the Bell.
No, I was going to say, yeah, he was on Saved by the Bell.
The reason I picked him is his mom was the one that saved him. He had a lot of energy, like me.
Yeah.
And his mom put him through dance, through acting, because she knew he was so hyper.
Yeah, she redirected all.
And then the irony of me was that my two brothers were always hyper, but I was always like the good one. And I was more stable. And then so I used Mario as sort of like to imitate him, almost, because I wanted to be him, trying to get that six-pack. So guess what? Dreams do come true. 2 years later, I transformed. And my three goals were get a six-pack, work in television, and get a college education, because of that statement of my dad. And guess what? In 2 years, I did that. Not only that, I ran 2 Chicago marathons.
Wow.
While at Columbia College, because that's where I ended up going.
Yeah.
And after I 2 years into it, my first goal was to do a marathon because Oprah did it, just because she did it. And then I ran it again after I graduated Columbia College, just to say that I can't. It's not a mistake, you know. And imagine that, you know, got a scholarship, got the 4-year degree, and then at graduating, did 2 years of.
So I'm curious because I know your dad obviously had a big impact on you.
Huge.
Obviously, Oprah, had, and Mario still has a big impact on you. But were you using any other techniques? Like, were you using affirmations, or were those affirmations coming from you?
No,
what other things were going on?
You're totally correct on that.
Because it's a lot. Like, achieving all that in 3 years is huge.
Well, I used Oprah. Oprah is the big one because I studied her like a PhD.
Okay.
Because she, one of the things that drives me through Media Ray and anything I do, I love fascinating people. Like, if you're more fascinating, the more I'm gonna be like all over, knowing everything about you, what makes you tick. And with Oprah, she was just somebody that I connected to. She had a voice to connect people, And so Oprah was a big one. And so she would say, follow, she'd lead the stuff, do this, be the best, that you can be. And I thought, well, I got nothing else, to lose. Why not? Why not I just try? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest message. What I want to tell people is you got to try. You might not get there, but you got to try. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Motivation is what I want. And yeah, Oprah was a big one. And then Mario was he was always meeting these fascinating people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think it's good to have mentors. It's good to have people like you in the media, because there's a lot of questions that people have, and they think they're not good enough, and that's the best thing that you want to do, is to know you are enough to do anything you want.
So much of it all of it has to start with you. I mean, it has to start with you and with believing in yourself. And, a lot of people, the big thing now that a lot of people talk about is trauma. And I think people have trauma.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to work through it, and I believe you can't allow for it to stop you. It's there. You've got to deal with it, whichever way, therapy, hypnosis, meditation, whatever. But you've also got to keep going, right? It's kind of a parallel.
Let me tell you, you're speaking of trauma, the biggest thing that happened to me is when my dad passed away. Mm. And this is not a sad story, but it's something that he always prepared me. He says, one day you're gonna lose me. You're gonna, ask me now before I'm gone. And then when he died, I won another scholarship, and wow. It was for social media.
Wow.
And I was working at CBS. So picture this: I started at Univision, then I left after 7 years. Took a trip to Spain, came back. Then a friend said, Ray, you have third market experience. You could work at NBC. So then I started working for NBC after that, freelance, then CBS. Then I was doing that, a couple years. And then my dad died. But then the state, there's things that people can invest in now, that if you need to be educated for another skill set, the state has funding. And you have to apply, though. And I had a friend of mine, another friend, and he said, Ray, you qualify for this scholarship if you want, but you have to get out of television. And then, so
Why did you have to get out?
Because the state wanted to show, so CBS wasn't hiring me full time. Okay. They were just doing freelance per day, per diem, and that's like part time. And I should have been hired. I was there for 7 years. So think about it. I have talent, but no full time. So, but it paid well. So that was kind of catchy.
And you were getting all this experience. You were making all these contacts.
So the quick trauma thing was that I didn't know I was going to get traumatized. So some people don't even know they're traumatized, but it was interesting. It was good, but it was just interesting. So I win the scholarship. It was 3,000 people. that applied, because scholarship, $5,000, and then cushy job at CBS, and then do I take the scholarship? But they weren't hiring me, and it was per day, and I had to do a leap of faith. And back to your suggestion about being, searching in there, I searched and I said, God, what do you want me to do? And I thought, I think I gotta take this hard road and take the scholarship. 6 months, it was at Flashpoint Academy.
Oh, Flashpoint, yeah, they're good.
And that became like interesting. So my dad dies at the same time I win the scholarship. And so then I have to finish it, right? So I did it. I got an A in the class. I was one honors, But then the loss of my dad. And the thing, trauma is not really diagnosed, because I look great. You could look great, you could function, but inside I just something was lost. And so this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go get therapy. After 2 years, I think, I knew I wasn't going forward. I wasn't the go-getter that I envisioned myself. And I went to go to therapy. And basically, that was another highlight, that eventually I learned that it's just a story you tell yourself. So after 2 years, I had to tell, my dad did die, but I had him for a long time. He died at 71. So then that
and he left you with so many gifts.
So many gifts. Yes, that's a good
yeah.
point. That was the therapy that I'm like, my dad gave me everything. He gave me my education. I'm bilingual. I'm in the third largest city of the United States.
Bilingual, bicultural.
And people like me.
Yeah.
And guess what? That became a blessing. And then since then, that's how Media Ray got started.
Oh, okay.
Because of that, all that anxiety about, should I do something? Can I do something? Right? And then like an incubation.
Yeah.
And it exploded. And then next thing I know, I started finding out I was good at it. And this is what I learned in the 6-month training, and what you're seeing now is all in my head. All the functions, all the red carpet. I was always behind the scenes. I'm a technician, and I was always shy about going in front of the TV. I
met you when you weren't shy anymore.
Yes. You know what? You have to tell the people, our connection is, I met you at the Drake Hotel.
Yes.
With Steve Starr.
And
let me tell you guys.
Who has passed away, one of our great photographers here in Chicago. And talk about somebody who knew everybody. Oh, my goodness.
He took pictures of you and me.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful pictures. And guess what? The secret was that eventually he liked me. And he wanted to do this big party, right? Social media. And then he asked me, Ray, could you help, after I got my scholarship, right, that same year, could you help me promote the biggest party of the year, right? And eventually it became he passed away.
Yes.
And it became
He was social media before there was social media. He was kind of the beginning of it, remember?
He was a social photographer.
Yes.
And he was really good at what he did.
Yes.
Very, very charismatic, right?
Yes.
And
charismatic, dramatic. I mean, he was,
But good person.
Good person, great person.
And he loved Latinos. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I didn't, but I mean, I always loved him, so I always got along well
so
with
our
him.
picture together became like the start of our relationship.
Yeah, yeah. So
and I love what you do, and that's why I'm here to support your podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. I do want to talk about something that I think is important, because it's courageous, because you are Latino, and you've been, very open about your LGBT background.
Yes.
And so what made you or helped you make that decision to, share that with everybody? Because I think it's so important that you did. And, I think it's important for a lot of people to know that, because, we've got a lot of people in our community that may be shy about it, or afraid, or concerned. And so you've got to be so proud, of that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It turned out, I do. So I have a twin brother. My brother's straight, and I was gay growing up. So I had a lot of anxiety about if I was good enough. So when I started this social media, I put in my profile, empowerment through media. So a lot of me showing up to these events was just showing people that I am enough, you know, and that where I come from, being different is actually a good thing. And that's my message to people, is that the more unique you are, the better, you know. And my twin brother, almost by frustration, taught me that I have to show up and finish it. Because the irony of the story of my twin brother is that he's everything he's afraid to do whatever I'm doing. He actually says you're too much work. But think about that. That I'm a twin brother, and my twin brother says I'm too.
That's funny.
So that shows a lot. That means that you really do have to be full of yourself to go to these events and be bold enough to smile and show up.
Yeah.
And that's my message to people. You gotta show up. And then
that's the biggest thing, you know, because I think a lot of people don't realize I'm out a lot as well, and I think people think I'm out there just having a good time, but we're working. We're connecting.
Yes.
You know, we're moving our brand forward, and it's a lot of work to do that, because it has to be that sometimes, and you're out a lot more, that's what you do, but it has to be that a lot of times you don't want to, or that you're tired.
Yes.
So how do you get yourself going when, you know, there's something really important that you have to be at, and you've had a rough day? Because all of us have those rough days that you kind of would like to go in a corner and hide. I mean,
so the blessing back to right now, that, you know, I do freelance work, you know, production, and I'm always on call. And so what I learned from this from Mario Lopez, by the way, going to the gym. I go to the gym daily. Okay. I do 2 hours of cardio. I think people should walk for 30 minutes a day. From experience, I know that to manifest, you got to build that momentum. And I love now doing my 40 minutes fasted cardio. I do
because just to not lose that point, and I'm kind of the same way. You've got to put energy behind whatever you're trying to create, whatever you're trying to manifest.
Yes.
And one of the best ways to do that, right, that energy, that emotion, is sometimes being physical.
Yes.
Yeah, because then that'll kind of create that, and you seeing yourself already having done it.
Yes.
Right? And so it puts all those pieces together, so it puts that energy behind what you're visualizing and wanting to create. And
so I want to tell you that you're totally correct on that. And then I have a good story. So there was a show called Caliente. Okay. And Caliente used to be a show there would be a dance show with music, and they always had a segment called El Chico or El Chica Caliente.
Los sábados hay una fórmula para el reventón. Pon música, agrégale baile, invita a las estrellas, escoge una bella chica y diviértete con Charlie. Sube entonces la temperatura y todo se pone caliente. En su horario este sábado a las 2, 1 centro.
Okay.
And I used to be...
I kind of remember that.
I would dream about, in Chicago, 31st and Pulaski, in the basement of my parents' house, I would watch it and I would go, I want to be in that show, in my head. And so guess what? When I got, I finished everything and I started working part-time, I was so go-getter. Part-time at Univision, they came to Chicago. And the dream happened. There's pictures I think I sent you. They painted Caliente on my chest.
Whoa.
I had a six-pack, and then I was a Chico Caliente.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And
Chico Caliente.
So back to your reference of what it takes to manifest, I really, really, really wanted it. I did work for it because I had to run every weekend. And in those 2 years, that was my visualization. Then eventually, it just happened. In Chicago, imagine the dream came to me.
Yeah, you didn't even go there.
It came to you. And they're from Miami.
Yeah, no.
So those pictures, once you post them,
I think that's what's so important, that people forget. But you've got to put that energy behind it too. So you put that energy behind it then when you're working out.
Yes.
Or walking, or 2 hours of cardio.
It's not 2 hours. It's like 40 minutes, and then I do an hour of weights.
Okay.
But I call it the holy hour because there's a goal, and this year's like a big year for me.
What time's the holy hour? What time is your holy hour?
Well, it's like I work out at 3 or 4.
Don't call him at 3 or 4.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
Don't.
That's true. You know what? And then the secret is I put good music, like good dance music.
Yeah.
And I'm really into it. And I manifest that workout, and then I'm rewarded by eating. Then I eat something healthy.
Nice.
2 meals, that's it, you know.
Love it. I love it. No, you've transformed your whole world. And when we were talking about your background and everything, I love the space that you're in now. Question for you though, because you get invited to some really fun things, and how is that? Is that the invitations are coming in, or is it you're constantly connecting with people and pushing it out so that the invitations are coming in?
Both. So the reason I do these events is that, we need people. Mm-hmm. And when I do these events, I like people. And then just by talking to them, I get these opportunities. And so
you're an extrovert.
No, I'm an introvert that forces myself back to my twin brother.
Okay.
I think a lot. I think and I think and I think, but then I have to do something.
Because I'm both, actually. I'm an extrovert, but more of an introvert. I have to get my quiet space, and I love my home. And though people see me out, I actually need the introvert part.
So the key thing for me that helped me, by nature, I'm a Virgo Libra. I was born September 21st. Okay. So Virgos overthink. And then Libras are the adventures, and I love adventure. So that really, so I think, and then I do it.
Okay.
I like adventure.
Good combination.
So I love traveling, I love people, I love fashion. And that's actually what brought me to you, because, we met. I also, while you were doing Latino
Fashion Week.
Mm-hmm. and you were fascinating then, and now you're amazing now. And now, you're doing it.
Thank you.
And I always love fashion, by the way. My favorite designer is Dolce & Gabbana, because this is Dolce & Gabbana. But I like fashion because it's a dream. Mm-hmm. Right? You've worn dresses.
Yes.
I've interviewed you with these dresses. Yes. How do you feel being dressed up?
Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, I love fashion. I think it's an expression of your inner self in many instances, right? And you get to create, also in some instances, you get to create a whole different persona by the fashion that you're wearing. So it's, just a great way to make your dreams a reality. So it's kind of, for me, my art.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm planning things, even the podcast, it's interesting, the colors, I'll think in terms of who I'm interviewing, and in terms of kind of the energy that I want to project, and based on that is what I choose to wear.
Yes, it's an expression. And then your background was tailor, right?
My dad was a tailor from Mexico, turned designer. I think I shared with you he had like 40 people sewing his clothes, and I am my mini dad. He had one of the first Spanish TV programs in Chicago. Really? And so I was little and kind of was on there, so I know all about live TV and everything, which was very fun. And I wanted to be a designer. I actually took design, but ended up going to law school. So, and now I'm running a tech company too. So, it's been a fun road. I'm getting to create the life that I want to live, and it's been fun with the podcast too, because I've been going to different people that are good friends of mine that are kind of running the world and letting other people know what they're doing. Like you. I mean, to me, it's great because we've gotten to know each other a little bit better over the years. I've gotten closer. We have a mutual friend that we both love, Richard.
Richard Dehoff.
Yeah, Richard is, a designer that used to design actually for Oprah.
Dresser.
Yeah, he used to dress her back in the day. It's like incredible. And he's in both of our lives, and, we're both really close. He's a huge fan of yours, and, he's just really close. But tell me, so what is next for Ray?
What's next
for Media Ray? What is next for
Well,
Media
the next thing is I'm getting ready for Sueños again.
Okay.
We got Shakira coming in.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I've never seen her in person. And
can I hold the mic?
Yeah, so then
she's great in person. I've seen her. She is, talk about energy. I mean, audience just swells up and you feel people rocking. She is amazing.
So you were correct. So I do my dream was multicultural advertising. My biggest mentor is Gloria Stefan, She did the crossover. She's the dream. When
I was just with Emilio actually at the United Nations recently.
Really?
Yeah. Incredible speech that he gave, and just such a humble individual, such a great heart, and he started it all.
She did.
Yeah.
This is actually, you asked me why I do media rate. That's the dream, to start it in English, assimilate, and then tell the people your culture. Like, in other words, survive and then thrive.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now with Bad Bunny and Peso Pluma.
Yeah.
You stabilize, right? And then you just do it.
I think, what a lot of people forget is that Latinos as well, is that we have such an incredible culture to share. And when somebody is missing out on that, I don't want to miss out on anything. I want to know as much as I can about all cultures. And so getting an opportunity to share about our culture, I think, is so enriching, not just for ourselves, but, for many people that have not gotten to know it before. It's just a great opportunity. What you're doing is a great opportunity, not just for yourself, but for all those others that have been missing out. So
yeah, I think that's a good message. Is if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're doing too. If you can do it, then somebody else can do it, or at least maybe not do it, but at least support you.
Yeah.
And you do it during the Hispanic Heritage Month.
The runway Latinx.
Runway,
yes.
Currently.
Yes. So it's interesting because last year we had Chicago Fashion Week for the first year. And so I was part of the group, that was putting that together. And my event has always been, at the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. We kind of close Hispanic Heritage Month. And I wouldn't change my date. I'm like, sorry guys, but this is my date, and you can work around me. But because to me, it's bigger than just a fashion show. It's so much bigger, right? We've got people that fly in, that, from not only different parts of the country, but different parts of the world to support and influencers and everything. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because we want to invite people October 18th this year, and you're going to be there.
Yes.
For sure. And we want to share with the world all these wonderful things that are out there. So I'm so glad and so proud of you again that you're doing what you're doing.
I love supporting you. I'll support you whenever, anything you want.
Thank you.
I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're fascinating. And you are a chic innovator.
Thank you. I wonder why we're doing this.
Well,
no, I'm so glad that you're here. And you know what? That's the thing I think also a lot of people don't know is that, especially in Chicago, there's a group of us, right, that are doing like these wonderful things. Like, I love everything that you're doing. And we're all supporting each other because I think we have a bigger vision, right? First of all, we want the best for Chicago. I don't know about you, but wherever I go, I want to put Chicago on the map.
That's it. That's actually
right.
Yeah, actually, my media raid is basically that. It's my gift that I think Chicago's so great, and a lot of good people are there, like you and me. And I like to put Chicago on the map.
Yeah.
And then whenever I'm doing something, then somebody else gets the attention.
Yes. And when we get to travel to other places, right? We get to share and connect and everything. Well, thanks for connecting here.
You're welcome.
Would you like to leave a message for our audience?
You can follow me on Instagram, Media Ray. And then I can't wait for this year to kind of keep it going.
Yeah, we've got to keep it going.
We got to keep it going, guys.
Keep it going and expanding. It's a year for expansion for all of us.
Yes, always have an intention and then do it.
Thanks for watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free.